All right, we're live, guys. It is 9/15/2022 at 8 p.m. I said let's start at 8. Look, Dustin's always on time. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. All right, let's get started. And I do apologize. We didn't do one last month. We just put it on the main feed last month because this man's been busy, guys. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. You're going to put that on me?
It's all your fault. Look, and before we go any further, get close up on the camera, y'all. Come on, bring it close.
I've got a big photo shoot next week with the Grizzlies, and I got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. And look what happened at training.
So what happened yesterday is that I went to training, and Dustin pissed me off, so I just hit him. So there we go.
Talk about a hard way. Oh my gosh, I haven't been hit that hard in a long time. Probably from a car crash. I mean, we were this is a weird story. We were actually just taking care of the ring because it's TV week. So we get the ring mat switched out, the apron, skirts, all that kind of stuff. And then something popped and hit me right in the head, man. I knew immediately. I thought it was going to be worse, and I'm lucky it didn't hit my eye, to be honest with you.
And you just started bleeding, huh? So I
literally looked up. I looked up like, damn it. And Alan goes, got color. And I knew it. I was waiting on Alan to say you're gashed open, but I wasn't gashed open. Anyway.
You got more color on that than you did that barbed wire match that night.
Yes, that's actually true.
All right, let's talk about what happened down at the Wrestle Center last night. Wednesday night, you had two special guests.
Oh, yeah.
So talk about who arrived last night and spent some time with your students.
Very cool. Chavo Guerrero Jr. Chavo, awesome guy, man. Really, really nice. Very positive. I don't think I heard him say a negative thing the entire time, whether it was about the building or talent, trainees, bumps, whatever the case may be. And then also Marty Elias, who refereed for WWE. He was the referee, hand-selected referee for WrestleMania 25, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, arguably the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. So he was able to get in there, and he actually refereed some of the training matches. And then Chavo was giving some pointers. And it just looks like, with obvious reasons, they're working on the set of Young Rock.
Okay. Yeah, they're in Memphis now. Yeah.
They worked on behind the scenes on Glow, Wow,
Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground
was a producer, Lucha Underground, and
various different things. And now they're in Memphis, and so of course Young Rock has their eye on Memphis wrestling and some of the talent and possibly the venue and whatever else they can use. I mean, they're here filming a Memphis wrestling show pretty much, so why not reach out to Memphis Wrestling? So we're really excited about it, and everybody did such a great job too.
I seen where Big John Dalton's dad had said that he spent some time with John and telling him how a big man works and stuff like that. I know you guys all know that, but does it feel better coming from somebody that has so much experience, pulling somebody to the side and saying, let's do it this way? And in your students showing out's not really what I should say.
Well, they're trying to.
Yeah, but them really just showing that they have. How about this? They have the ability to be a wrestler, and that's different than not having the ability. And I want to ask you about one of them here in just a minute. But how did that feel? I mean, did he put him out in the middle of everybody and say, "Look, this is the way you do it," kind of thing? Is that the way Chavo was doing it?
Well, I mean, Chavo and Marty really didn't say that much different than what Alan and Derek and myself and King Cobra say. I
know that, yeah.
Which really meant a lot. You know, sometimes you're kind of like, we tell you guys this all the time, but really when it comes from somebody who has possibly, you know, in some people's eyes done more, especially a Guerrero, Chavo. I mean, are you kidding me?
The family. Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can say, Dustin, you've done a lot in wrestling, but good God, we can't compare
Dustin,
to that.
You did this, and this, but like Chavo and his family, I mean, it excels. And you know, Eddie aside, Chavo was awesome and still is. And so with Marty and Chavo giving the pointers and saying the things, you know, that they had to say to the students, it made us all feel kind of good, because it's like, we say that to you every time. But it does mean a little bit more, I guess, coming from multiple people who have been very successful in the business. You know, Derek and Alan and myself can tell them all day long, but when you have, you know, Chavo Guerrero or Marty, or gosh, if The Rock were to show up and say the same exact thing, it would probably resonate a little bit differently, you know?
Yeah, it's. I mean, and the chances. I mean, he's going to be. I think he is in town right now.
He is.
I'm right. Yeah.
I was told that he's been in town for weeks, and even on his Instagrams and talking about The Rock, it looks like he's like in the same place that he always is. And I think he travels with his gym. I mean, he kind of travels like the president. Honestly, you don't know where he is. Nobody's posting selfies or pictures or anything until they're on set, where downtown Bruno is with The Rock in Walls, Mississippi.
Yeah.
One of our trainees and one of my good buddies that I kind of put out there, they were able to get cast, and they got in a picture and in a scene with The Rock. And so,
cool.
To more and more, especially of the roster, getting onto the show. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Let's start with this part then. Let's go. This is not going. We're not doing one to have any controversy or anything tonight.
Oh, no heat this time?
No heat tonight. I don't even want to talk about anything like that. I want to talk about Memphis wrestling. I want to catch up on some stuff. Okay. So I want to talk about your new champs. We see this kind of happening. One of my friends mentioned this in one of our groups. He said it seems like they're in the process of changing a lot, in the sense that you're going from one phase, and we know we're in the second year of the promotion, but you're going from one phase of the promotion and into the next phase. We started with the theme song, but then you have Internet Champion, boom. We got Zay as the champ. We got on one show, we had the women's title change hands, and we had the tag team change hands. So it feels, you know what it feels like? It feels like in the old days when you got a new booker. You got this new booker, and he came in, and he would push all different people. But explain, this is something you've been booking toward, especially, I'm going to say this, the tag champs and the women's champ. That's something you guys, that's been the story for a long time, right? You knew that was going to happen kind of thing.
Yeah, most of these things we've been massaging for quite a while and just waiting on it to happen. And sometimes it depends on whether it's the episode number or the feature attraction or how well it would fit into the story. And not to give away any spoilers and stuff, but you'll see a lot of stuff transpire with Teddy Long appearing coming up.
Right.
He was so fantastic that there were opportunities to do various different things with multiple storylines just because of the star power of somebody like Teddy Long. And so, yeah, we've been telling those stories leading up, and it all culminated at a Championship Saturday. And eventually one day we want to make Championship Saturday a little bit more important, to where there's different graphics and logos and different things like that. But right now we're just I feel like we're getting better and trying to get really good at what we're doing. But yeah, the theme song, kind of turning the page in the chapter, making us more legit, I felt like. And then also the sound quality was better. I think the visuals are better. The graphics were updated and everything. And so to me, I feel like we can be on television anywhere. We can be on WWE Network. We can be on Fight TV Plus. It doesn't matter. I feel like we have a really, really good product. But the champions, I mean, of course, Cassandra Golden, one of my favorite wrestlers. Obviously, we were telling that story.
We actually watched the first show. She was featured on the very first show.
She's the thumbnail. She's the thumbnail on YouTube. She's extremely popular. I love Cassandra Golden, so I'm really excited, and I know that was a big moment for her. And we went through the whole thing, and just a really good moment in Memphis wrestling, if you ask me. And then the tag team titles, to be perfectly honest, I was not a big fan of the Memphis Muscle, and I know that they did it in EPW and it was successful and everything.
See, I didn't even know they did it in EPW as a tag team.
Okay,
I didn't know that.
I thought it was cool, but putting the tag titles on them, at first I thought, these are two of my top single stars, and I can't turn them into tag team wrestlers. It just doesn't make any sense. You're basically taking your two top baby faces and putting them into a tag team.
But that's what they did. That's what they did on Memphis Wrestling.
But yeah, you're right.
You had Drew Lawler, Bill Dundee, two top baby faces. What'd they do? They tagged, and they were. The thing that I was thinking about though was Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels, and I know that Brett and Swole are friends, so they're not going to be battling like Shawn and Stone Cold, but. But my thought was I really love me some Big Swole Justin Cole, and the gun show's over. I do too. The thing, I'm going to pull back the curtain, as we said, just a moment here. When I mentioned last week on the show how I felt like it was a moment for Justin Cole.
Oh yeah.
And thought that with Brett being, and I hope Brett doesn't, man. He doesn't message me a lot. He really doesn't. I don't talk to him, a lot of the crew, but he messaged me after that and just said, it meant a lot for me to be part of that for him, and that's one of those things. He said it meant a lot to him, and then he actually went to Facebook. So I'm not revealing anything, but he went to Facebook and said the same thing. Look, you deserve this. This meant a lot to me. But he did. He said it meant for him to be able to be part of it with him meant a lot to him. But you got your top baby face, and I want to ask you this, and you might know that.
Real quick though, putting the two top baby faces, quote unquote, against the posse though, I thought was perfect. So that's that whole situation and just how controversial the posse are, and you'll see coming up on the episodes, you never know what the hell they're gonna do.
Yeah, and but so you had that story built in with Justin.
It was already built in.
It was already built, so you just had it. Yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to put over the fact that the posse were such good heels that it made it easy to say, hey, Memphis Muscle needs to kick their butts,
Right. Yeah, just I said this when we first got started. Two things I said that you've made me eat crow with, okay? I said the posse could never be heels. And I said you could never get Bret Michaels over. Huge baby face for you, and Swole is too. But I'm talking, he's a little bit bigger level to me than Swole is. But what I did a podcast. It was out of Alabama. Gene Jackson. We talked about there's 3 guys that do it with him. So I'm getting questions from 4 different guys, and they kept saying, since you're with Memphis Wrestling, and I kept trying to tell them, I just give content. It's not like
you're with us, brother.
Yeah. So I mentioned Brett and how y'all got Brett over as the top babyface on the show. And there was, I don't even know, say heat, but there was like some negativity there about Brett.
Wow.
So do you ever get that from the Mississippi crowd and Alabama and all that? Do you see anything that he would be getting?
I mean, no. I mean, if you know Brett and you met Brett, I mean, he's so humble. Like the stuff you said about Big Swole is legit. He could not wait to, I hate to even say this because of kayfabe, whatever. He just couldn't wait to put Mike over. He really couldn't. He thinks Mike's the best. He said Mike talks, he works, he looks. Everything that you want in champion is Mike, man. I can't wait to put him over. Also, at the same time, though, he can't wait to beat him up, too, because those guys have great matches. You got to go watch the Dyer County Fair match. I mean, it was as aggressive.
It's all, if you're listening to us on Patreon, you'll get it on Patreon. It is already up there. Zay Washington against A-Rob. Oh, just very, very good matches. That fair is lucky.
But I'm kind of waiting on it. To answer your question, I'm kind of waiting on it. When will the fans, if you're the biggest, the strongest in the room, and you rarely ever lose, eventually people are going to go, I want somebody to beat that guy. But it's just that Brett has a way of being humble, but also being a very strong alpha male. You said just a second ago. And if we look at Brett here and maybe Big Swole a little bit below, that's just because of us and us writing TV, trying to position them correctly to be the best. And I think we're getting there with Swole for sure. And he definitely wants to be there. But gosh, man,
I've always liked Brett as a person.
Good stuff. But nobody's turning on him just yet. And when they do, and we are gonna fuel it, brother.
Right. I've always liked him as a person, but I said, he's not a good interview. He's not, he's not flawless in the ring. And I forget. And talked on the other.
I'll say real quick that live, I think Brett is great live at the desk. Now, if he knows that he's got a couple of takes, that's cool too. I'm fine with that. You can do 20 takes as long as
right.
But when he's out there live, whatever he says, that's just what's in here. Like that's not
right. I know y'all.
We don't go through a whole
script it. Y'all don't script it or anything.
That's just him.
What I think is that what Memphis has done for me since I've been watching every show and been reviewing it, blah blah blah, is, and I think I mentioned this to you in conversation, and did on the other opposite podcast, is that I have started to sway away. Not that the work quality is less, but I swayed away from. I want to see a 5-star match. I want to rate it the match. I want to do this. I want to see the story. And that's when I grew up. That's all I knew about was the story of that I was watching. Who's going to be the bad guy? Who's going to be the good guy? I really grabbed that, and I find myself saying all this time, "Well, that match was horrible." That match, not me saying it, but say one of my friends said, "I would go, no, it accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. It really doesn't." And a guy. It doesn't matter about work rate or stars or anything like that when you got a guy like Brett Michaels that's got over with the crowd. And the crowd, and neither one of us can explain that. We can say, Dustin, y'all booked it that way, but it don't always work that way. You know that. You can't shove it down their throats and them cheer because you tell them to. Eventually, if you're not, then they're not. But it has worked with him. And I told him, I was wrong. I was big time wrong. I really always liked him. But
to his credit too is if there's a parade or if there's a ball game or
I see him all over the place. Yeah,
he's all over the place. He's and that's not him being phony. Like he is a fan of the Cardinals, so he'll come watch the Redbirds. He is a diehard Grizzlies fan, so you'll see him at the Hustle. And especially anytime, hey man, you got any tickets on you? Anytime there's tickets, he wants to be there. So that, and then also anything that we write. Those guys have to perform it. And so they've done a great job at performing it. I mean, it's one take and that's it. So
I mentioned the thing that I felt like I was getting a little pushback when I was mentioning Brett, and someone just mentioned to me, well, who was doing it? And then I said, it was 3 guys that are in the business, and Gene is in the business, but he's kind of like me, but Gene wasn't really giving, it was the guys that were the workers. And they said to me, well, they're jealous of Brett. That's all I can say. They're just jealous he's on television, and they're not, he's always been a big part of Mississippi wrestling, always pushed, and people get jealous of that. You know how that is. All right, let's talk about Zay.
They'll say, well, he can't have a 5-star match. He's not a good worker and all this stuff. Are you kidding me? Get out of here. Watch him and Mike. Watch him and Brett. Or him and Swole. Watch him and Austin. I mean, they said the same thing about Cena. They said the same thing about Roman, and I'm in no way comparing the two. No,
I know
their
what
popularity.
You're saying. Yeah.
But I'm just saying in general, when you say, "Oh, that guy can't work," and meanwhile he is over and he has great, he's good at what he does. That's it. Brett does not need a 15-minute match, man. He doesn't get paid by the hour.
That's funny because I actually mentioned about the upcoming show. I got a friend that sends it to me, and I get to review it. I don't know if you know that, but I get to in advance.
Yeah.
Since I'm part of the championship committee, I'm part of the championship committee. I'm trying to get rid of Hollywood Jimmy. All I can. But I got to watch it, and it was. I wanted to see those 2 guys do. They did a quick match, but I wanted to see them do an old time Road Warriors type squash where they just hit the ring, boom, boom, boom. See you later, bye.
That's what it was.
Oh yeah, the hot shots got a little in, but not much.
And I don't want to give away any spoilers, but in the coming weeks.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, there'll be some people.
You're gonna see more of that. You're gonna see a transition of those tag team titles and how they're defended and how they're held, and then you're gonna see something else happen that's gonna be like, what?
Right.
So I don't want to tell you. I don't want to stooge it off. But it's really good.
So I guess I should have brought a spoiler alert because that was Saturday's show, and no one's watched Saturday's show that's listening to this. My apologies. I hope I didn't mess up anything. But it's really good show. Good show. All right, let's talk about Zay. I've been talking about Zay since the number 1. And I remember Aaron Roberts saying to me, "What about me, BT? God, shut up about Zay." You had this came out of nowhere. This angle did, it just out of nowhere. It's not one of those that you built, and it's not one of those we waited for. And tell me the process of thinking on that, because I've been critical sometimes of angles like this. I like the slow. I like the slow build. I like the hint. I like you to look over to the left when you're supposed to be looking over to the right. Or when you're going through the curtain, you do something that's heelish. But this came out of nowhere. And then Zay, right when Zay wins and gets the title, then we have Aaron turn on him. I know we're going to eventually get a little bit more of why the turn, but why did y'all, and I'm using, this is not really, why did y'all hot shot the turn instead of actually doing a slow burn?
Well, there was some probably behind the scenes stuff that had the two not really tagging on television at the time. And so what had happened is it gave a moment for Aaron to kind of be gone to where we can rethink and shuffle. And then Zay was still in the spotlight. And so it was like, wait a second, I want to see Zay versus Mike. And when Zay Washington wrestled Mike Anthony, it was spectacular. It was awesome.
Excellent match.
And so we go, we got to get more of that. How do we get more of that? And then the idea came up with Zicky Dice. But then somehow it just kind of creeped in there. I did not want to turn the Young Goats against each other because I like them together. I think they're the first and only 2-time tag team champions.
I remember when I interviewed them, they was like, "No, that'll never happen."
Yeah,
when we turned
Teddy
it,
Long
it'll never happen.
The tag title match that made them the champions. So there was a moment where Teddy raised their hands, handed the titles over. So there's a lot of history within that group, and then some things I guess happened behind the scenes that is like, okay, so what do we do? And so at that point, I don't feel like we hot-shotted it. I feel like that we were lucky that we had Aaron away for several weeks, and then when he came back, I thought the people would see it coming from a mile away. And nobody did.
I did not see it.
I
really did not.
There's a few reactions in the Wrestle Center that I remember, and I'm like, oh, wow, that really worked. One of them is Kay Toomer doing the Show Enough. I had no idea that the fans all chant Show Enough.
Very much so, yes.
Had no idea. So when it happened live, I'm like, holy crap, this is great. But the other was when Aaron clotheslined Zay Washington or Zicky Dice at first. The people were like, ooh, like confused. And then when he backhanded Zay and they made that noise again, it was like, okay, this is great. And then
it worked. Yeah, it worked.
The match at Dyer County Fair was fantastic, and I cannot wait to see that match on television.
All right, so with that match, if you go to YouTube right now, you can actually watch the match. We had a new character, a new person involved with Aaron, and I love this idea because it gives him a mouthpiece, and people will hate Justin Case. They will hate him, and he's good on the microphone, and they're going to hate him. So, what made you bring? Because I know he does this on with Mark Southern or Money Mark does American Hostile Championship Wrestling. He has been with he turned into American Hostile Championship Wrestling with Justin a couple of shows back, or about a month and a half. While he was gone from Memphis, he was working America as a heel. What made you bring Justin in? Because I mentioned that here's a guy that's similar to me in the sense that none of the Memphis promotions ever wanted to use him or do anything. And I don't know. I know he helped a little bit, I think, back in the day with Power Pro. So I don't know exactly, but they've never put him in front of the camera and gave him a chance. Why did we decide to go ahead and let's go for it?
First, none of what any of the other promotions do within their show really affects.
No, it don't. No,
I'm not saying that as a dig. I'm just saying that because they were together somewhere else had no impact on what our decision was. Justin's been a friend of ours for a long time. I actually had him booked at the AutoZone Park show.
I was going to be there. I was going to go outside, guys.
He was going to do a funny spot for us and be a manager along with the Barbecue Boys. It was going to be really funny, and he was a true sport when we were talking through all that. And so he's been kind of an ally and an advocate for, the whole time.
And he's been on TV before, and I'm not going to tell you when. So tell me, send us a message and tell, when was Justin on television? Oh.
Well, so then the idea came up. We need something a little bit extra for this angle and this storyline. And it'll make a little bit more sense in a couple of weeks when things start to unfold and transpire and stuff. But there's a whole reason that he was brought in. Obviously he can talk, he gets some heat. He has some sweet gear made that matches Aaron Roberts, so the professionalism and everything is there. But honestly, like, he has a lot of followers and friends and fans that go to these different towns that he goes to, whether it's New Bern, Memphis, whatever, wherever he is. He's kind of like that independent wrestling dirt sheet.
I did the same thing, but
he's like a dirt sheet.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I worked that 5 years on that little circuit that he did. Never seen any television except Rampage Championship Wrestling on Jonesboro. I don't want to talk about that.
Me either. The
worst TV show ever.
But it's one of those. There's an opportunity given. Memphis Wrestling is notorious for heel managers, and there's a spot there that I know that he can fulfill. And here we are. And then,
all right, so I'm going to ask you. I asked Rhino this on an upcoming episode, so I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do we have too many managers?
You know, I think from the outside looking in, you might say yes. But if you know the stories and you know why they're there and what they're doing, and if you know kind of the history of Memphis Wrestling and their managers, I would say no. So I would say that they're both right, yes and no.
Are we ever going to see that time when all four of those guys come together and they're in the ring and they're wanting to either fight each other? Or what if you got four heel managers that want to join together to go against the top baby faces? Are we ever going to see something like that?
You know, I think Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock standing on the opposite side of the ring against anybody would just be just comedy gold. We've had Maria throw shoes at him on the other side, hit him with her shoes, slap him, all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
The people love it. So anything that we do with Hollywood Jimmy, and to his credit, man, I could give him the most crazy creative in the world, and he'd be like, oh, he would text me while I'm at the desk. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. So he texts you at the desk. Tell me about him texting you at the desk.
So Jimmy will text me at the desk and say, hey, just work with me here, brother. And then I pull it up because I don't have a lot of time to text her. And I'll pull it up and go, oh, and it's usually something good. So you put Jimmy in any situation and it's good stuff.
I thought he was perfect with Teddy Long. There's Jimmy's, it's kind of overpowering. The character's overpowering, and so when he's on the screen and when he's talking, sometimes he drives me crazy. He talks too much, but he was perfect with Teddy Long. Who is the star on that screen?
The timing. Teddy's doing the thing, and then I pull it away, and I got to get my little bit in, and then I just put the mic up, and Jimmy's ready to go. He knows.
It was perfect. Yeah.
I really feel like that in that situation that. And there's no disrespect to Teddy. He doesn't know everybody. He's not there all the time. So for him to come in with a scene of Derek, Diana, Colton, myself, Jimmy, Secret Service. I mean, that's 6 guys that I just named right off the top of my head. There might even be more out there. 6 guys and one that's new. And the promo was great. Jimmy was great. I mean, there's a couple of scenes in Memphis Wrestling that are my absolute favorite. I have to admit, the Boogeyman scene was one of my favorites of all time that we've ever shot, him eating worms with the fans and all that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you that Teddy Long in the next 3 weeks of TV are some of the best stuff I think we've ever shot.
I want to tell you a favorite, and if you're watching this, make sure you do not sleep on the Martin interview.
Oh, yeah.
That was Martin's best interview, and I didn't want to compare it to a Dusty interview, but I want to compare it to an interview that could make somebody. That could make him on Memphis Wrestle with that interview.
That came from
very
kind
good.
Of a shoot. That came from a little bit of a shoot. Me and him talk a lot. Me and him are really good friends. He comes to the Wrestle Center and trains. I can't say enough good things about Martin, but he said, hey, Dust, I think it's time to heat me up a little bit. So, yeah, what you want to do? And so we talked about it. And I know what he's getting. There's other companies that are running stuff and feel like they could probably make him a champion and all that kind of stuff. But when you're in the main event of a show with Al Capone, Super Grizz, or Lance Archer, or whatever, he's done a lot of really cool stuff. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And so that promo was from his heart. He was like, he feels like that he's a springboard, like a stepping stone or a floor mat. Even though there's no like heat, he does watch the show and he's like, those guys are getting over because of me. And that's what he's good. He's so good at helping the guys out, but also getting his stuff in too, man.
A fantastic role as a mid-level heel, be perfect. Also, those gloves, Dustin. You know what happens when you have gloves on during wrestling? You get to put something in them, and boom, hey. I
had no idea that promo. He told me he had a promo. He gave me his idea, and I said, "You do, Martin." I mean, seriously, awesome. Like sometimes when it's their time, I might.
It was well done. Yeah.
This is where we need to be, and I want you to get there.
It'll stand out. It'll stand out for him. All right, let's talk about some of the stars that you had. You just told us about Teddy Long. Your dealings with Teddy Long. You had one show with him. He came in on a Saturday night, and then you've taped 3 other shows with him. Is this guy as cool as it seems? Is he one of those guys you would use over and over? Talk to us about Teddy Long backstage.
Absolutely. Teddy Long was great. I did have to go to Walmart to send him a MoneyGram because he doesn't have social media or like he doesn't have PayPal.
A MoneyGram? What the hell's a MoneyGram?
Yes,
oh God!
I have no idea, but apparently you can't do it from your phone. You can't do it from the computer. So I had to drive to Walmart to send him gimmick money or whatever, just to clear up whatever was owed or anything. But I just thought that was funny. Just an older generation, kind of like Cobra. Cobra's like, write me a check, brother.
Oh man,
check. I don't even own a checkbook.
What about Big Con? Now, Big Con came in, and I'm going to talk a little bit about K Toomer after this. But
hey, hold on. There's a funny Teddy Long. I don't know if I've told this Teddy Long.
All right.
But the first time Teddy Long came in, he was coming in, and I had already shot the TV and the angle and everything. And I'll call him a colleague, had booked Teddy, and I had no communication with Teddy. And so after I followed up, there was still no flight, no nothing. So anyways, I got Teddy's information and I called Teddy myself and I said, "Hey, Teddy, it's Dustin Starr from Memphis. Just checking in to make sure you got your flight and your hotel information." He goes, "Playa, I ain't got shit." And I'm like, man. What? So the person that was setting him up lied to me, blatantly bold-faced lied to me. And he runs a show in Memphis, and so apparently it booked Teddy but didn't have a spot for him. So anyway, here I come. And I said, Mr. Teddy, can I go ahead and take this over? And he said, please do. And within 10 minutes, I had him a flight, a hotel. That first thing almost never happened because somebody was lying to me.
Man, that would have been bad because you had all that. You had that.
We shot 3 weeks of TV with that.
Yeah. Promoting Teddy Long. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yep. That would have been tough. How about Big Con? Let's talk about Big Con. He comes in, he does a couple of interviews, and then he get one of the K Toomer I talked about this on the show. It looked really tight. There was maybe one punch that was not, but everything else looked like they just beat the hell out of each other. What kind of guy? I mean, is he someone that you'll work with in the future, Big Con?
Absolutely. Big Con I knew back from my FCW days.
Oh, really? Was he there?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
They had just brought him back because he was there, and then he left, and then they brought him back, and then eventually I don't know if he left again and came back or if that's what started the sanction, but me and him were really cool before. I mean, it was one of those things was like, hey, man, I'll see you down the road. And he said, I'm looking forward to it type of thing. And then I ran into him in Atlanta at Center Stage with Championship Wrestling.
Right.
At Car Shield. And so I saw him there. We roomed together. And I told him, I said, I'm going to bring you to Memphis. And I kind of tell everybody that. And that's true. I'm going to bring you to Memphis. But I had no real plan set. And then the opportunity came up. K Toomer. Boom. And he came in and did a great job. We actually booked Con twice. That was one that kind of overlapped to where it was a surprise to where when he came back, he got a twofer on that. That was really cool.
Right. Hey, I thought it was the thing about Con that made it look, and it was almost perfect, is when he was side by side with you. Everybody sees you out and everything. They know your size. You're but you're not tall. You're a smaller guy. But the size of this man y'all was perfect. I mean, he had this.
I'm glad you brought that up. He has seen me wrestle. He saw me ref in WWE, but he's seen me wrestle He knows I'm a fitness competitor and blah, 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 blah. He just, so I had to tell him, I was telling him, like, on this show, I'm just an announcer. So I am going to cower to you. I'm going to put you over as much as I can. So that's when I'm like ducking down with the microphone, and he takes it. I never let anybody take the microphone, but him being a WWE performer and everything, when he was snatching it and I wouldn't let it go, he's like, give me that mic. I had no choice. He took it. So I'm like, okay, I'm cool. But all that was just based off of our conversation. And one of the cool things when I was talking to him is he wasn't familiar with Toomer. And so when I told him, when you go out and do this promo, and if you say it just like this, they're going to yell show enough. And he said, are you sure? And I said, absolutely. Say it just like I told you. And when he did, you could hear the first show enough, and he goes, and then all of a sudden it's coming from everywhere, show enough. And then he's kept the promo going, and he killed it. But the people were with K Toomer there, show enough. Every time he would say, I'm the biggest, I'm looking for the best.
Oh, no, it was.
But it worked out.
Yeah, we'll talk about him. Let's talk about Mads Kruger. This guy is he's from Mississippi, right? He's a local guy.
He is from the Alabama area. I don't know where he's from.
I'm on a kayfabe. I don't care. I'm on kayfabe, guys. I usually don't do that, but I remember when I was with the Sheets and stuff, I always wanted their real name.
He's Alabama. I think
but
he's
he
Alabama.
Worked another name for a little bit.
Georgia. He's Georgia. That's right.
He worked another name for a little bit. Then he gets this gimmick. And ever since he got this gimmick, he's exploded.
Incredible. I thought Mads Kruger was a one and done. This dude is behind the scenes and business-wise, A+. Unbelievable, fantastic. The Memphis Grizzlies loved him at the 901-day Grizz Bash.
Oh, the stuff they did with – they could not have done that with anyone else. And then you arranged for him to come to what is it called? You always put it over. I can't even remember the name of it. Media. What is it? Grind City Media. Yeah. Grind City Media. And that was all organic. Here's the guy talking about it.
It happened live on the air. They were telling me, Dustin showed me this video of this guy. And so on air, they're texting me. And luckily, I was right there with my phone. So I'm texting them the stuff. And they're talking about it live on the air. And they're showing the videos and unimaginable horror. And then when it's over, they're like, hey, can we get this guy in studio? I'm like, heck yeah, we can get this guy in studio, but be careful what you wish for, because he ain't sitting down for an interview, man. And so it just went off without a hitch. And then having him walk through the crowd, I just knew that instantly. And mind you, those are not all wrestling fans. That was
they're not. People. You can tell by the guy. The reason they picked it up, and then Brett had that little promo, and since that was the first time they saw Brett, it wasn't like all of a sudden they love Brett. It's like they love Mads Kruger more. They did. It was hilarious. It was very well done.
The fans did know who to boo and who to cheer, and it was a really good thing. But
when he came into the studio, it was very well done. But here's a guy who. And this is, we said this a couple of times. There's always a position or a place for you in professional wrestling if you have the desire. And here's a guy, and I may interview him one day. He came up as something that was doing another gimmick, and all of a sudden, man, he's on MLW. He went to Puerto Rico. He's wrestling anywhere he wants to wrestle. Really, if he hadn't got AEW. I don't know. He may have a dark match, but he has worked all the big places. Puerto Rico's not as big as it used to be, but it's still.
We even had that talk that hey man, when you come back, let's figure something out here, because I thought you were one and done, and if the character's over, man. If those guys are going crazy over it and the fans loved it, then he definitely needs to return. And so when he returns, usually you put your guy over because the guy's not coming back. But man, Kruger was so popular and such a good professional guy to work with.
I love that. I was told Mick Foley's the one that told me that, because he came into Ozark Mountain Wrestling, and my friend Freddie Fargo, who just recently passed away, was his manager. And I said, why? I asked Mick, who was Cactus Jack at the time. I didn't know his real name then, but I said, why are you losing to Colorado Kid? He said, so of the two people that you're talking about, who's going to be here the whole time? I said, well, Colorado Kid, we got to put him over. So I learned that. That's how I really learned about, you got to keep the person that's going to stay over huge. And talking, you was talking a little bit about K Toomer. This, and I want to ask you this. And first of all, shout out to Jamie. Jamie Davis says,
"What's up, Jamie?"
Yeah, he actually sent us right there. What's up, fellas?
Jamie's great.
One of the live version.
One of the best wrestling fans I know is Jamie.
Appreciate it, man. We appreciate it. But you got this, and I never have. I can't say that I could book this. Okay, so you're booking K Toomer. And win. He's a winner. He's winning all the time. He has. How do you do this? You're on this course with this guy that, in my mind, puts you in a corner because when does he lose? Who does he lose to? And will he still be as over as he is now if he loses?
Right.
And why is he still coming out of the heel dressing room?
Because that's not what it's about. He's out there to compete. He doesn't care. I mean, it's not like he's not necessarily.
What's the fair clip? I love the fair clip with him.
He's there to win. That's all. Yep. It's plain and simple. And you're kind of right. We have, but he's so over that you can literally put him anywhere on the card, and the people will respond. And so I kind of feel like that a man that big and with that much of a winning streak, if he doesn't get his opportunity at the championship, he's got to take it, right? And you know what we do? There's once a year we have the Grind City Rumble.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Every man and woman for themselves. And so I feel like that he is the favor every year to win the Grind City Rumble. He's the biggest guy. Who's going to throw him over? It's almost like, and I'm not saying he's as big as Yokozuna, but who's going to throw him over? It's going to take a whole group of guys.
We talked about him, and I said, man, if he just speed up some. And you said to me, that's my fault. I told him to slow down, work like a big guy. And I was like, okay, all right. And then so that's what he's got better in the ring. He understands with the microphone. He understands what he's going to do. This guy, and I hope I'm not – he's on Facebook all the time. So he does so much stuff, Dustin. He's a very, very creative guy. He did our theme song for Rolling Into Memphis. If you listen to the version that has the theme song, that's him. When I met him or first saw him, we saw him in Newport. I was with you, and I told you, I said, damn, he's big. But I didn't understand how big he was until I saw him live. And then we had a talk there at the banquet. And I told him, I said, look, dude, you always use all your talents when you're around the wrestling business. You can do music. You can do this. You can do that. Throw yourself out there. It's not only just being a wrestler. You can do all. And I think he's been real successful. He's got shows that he wouldn't have got because of Memphis wrestling and the fans. I love what you did at the fair with him. So he got a handicap match. Go out of there. We
communicate quite a bit too. We communicate multiple times a week. Great guy, very, very talented, like you said. He shot a lot of the video from 901 Grizz Day Bash. He shot a little bit of it. Yes,
I forgot that. Yeah, that's his video.
From Dyer County Fair, but that was just because he was working too. So he definitely has some skills. And also, let me tell you this. On October the 8th, we're doing our Memphis Wrestling Stars of Tomorrow. The show is sold out. It is jam-packed, sold out. And that Stars of Tomorrow show is going to be a special 2-week television taping.
Oh, wow.
And so the fans are going to have the opportunity to vote for their favorite stars of tomorrow. And those stars are going to be put into the Memphis Trios tournament, the top 3, as Team Wrestle Center. And am I here? To tie K Toomer back into the thing. To tie K Toomer back into the thing, he actually cut and performed the theme song for the Stars.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
So you'll hear his, and the reason that I thought K Toomer was going to be great to do that song is because he has that hip, new school type of sound. But then also he's the epitome of what you're supposed to do to get an opportunity in the wrestling business. And I don't know if I've ever told this story, but he sat in the front row for the first several.
Yes, we told it. Yeah.
And so brought his bag, stayed in front of me, and that's my fault. I had no idea who K Toomer was or how good or bad he was, and then eventually said, "Okay, let's see what you've got." And I think he bought a ticket for that day that he had his tryout. And I don't say that to say, "Oh, he bought a ticket." No, bro. If you want an opportunity, you get in front of that person that makes that decision. And immediately after the match, after his first match, it was like, wrong person won. I had 3 people come to me and tell me that, and at that point, I already knew the tumor was over. At that point,
right. I did. I talked about seminars, and I've been preaching this since when me and you used to do websites. But I believe in those seminars. I believe in them. I've heard somebody tell me I can't go. I can't afford it. In my mind, I honestly think you can't afford not to go to seminars like that. You got Tony Nese coming Sunday, and it's just, being just the opportunity to be under the learning tree with somebody that's been with the WWE, that is with AEW now. What can you learn from those guys? And I think it's really silly if you don't have, 100 wrestlers in the area show up. But it doesn't happen that way. You and the posse did. I know you did it a lot, but you used to go with when Bert would have somebody. You was always one of the guys that was at every one of these little seminars here, and I think that helped you be able to get signed. Do you believe that was part of it?
Absolutely. I don't think that I would be sitting here exactly the same if I didn't. And that's just, so the difference is having that little bit of disposable income to invest into a seminar. Now, back 10, 15 years ago when we were doing seminars, everybody say, "Oh, that's a work. They're just trying to get your money."
They all thought Mike Bucci, they thought it was a work. And he wouldn't.
You know what, dude? That dude's not coming down here for free. He does need to get paid. And number 2, if you've got it, he can get you signed. Just like this weekend, we have Tony Nese coming. Is Tony Nese a decision maker? No, but Tony Nese is a former WWE Cruiserweight champion. Also, he's a current AEW superstar. You say what you want. He just performed for the TNT Championship against Wardlow. Regardless of how that ended up, he is on national television. He has one of the best bodies.
Yeah, they say, I saw somebody. I was at Memphis. Yeah, I was at Memphis, man. Y'all should take a look at this guy. I was at Memphis. Y'all should take a look.
He would literally, if there's somebody that's got it exactly, he's going to get their number. He's going to take a picture and he's going to show it to somebody. That's just how this business works. Big Trouble Ben Bishop is another guy. When he walks in, he's 7 foot tall. And every single feature attraction we have goes, "Damn kid, what's your name?" And I just know eventually he's going to get signed. He's young. He's in shape. He's huge. There's no way this guy doesn't get signed.
He's not in shape like me, but he is in shape.
Yeah, he's a little different shape than you.
We're going to wrap this. This is not going to be a very much longer. There's one last question I want to do. We want to have to shout out to T Ward. T-Bone's with us. Hey, T-Bone.
Yes.
So we got to give him some credit for some videos he did with Mike Anthony. Good stuff.
He's actually submitting these, and he's going to win some awards for these.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
There's more coming. The Mike Anthony Red promo is one of my favorites of all time that's been on the TV show. Mine was the
prison one. The prison
one's really good. Man, that red one, it just changed the color. There was a cage in the background, the whole thing. But big shout out to T Ward, because honestly, we wouldn't be in the situation that we would be in if it wasn't for him. The audio has gotten much better when him and Neil have gotten together to help me out with that. The graphics package, he was the first person I called when I said, "Hey, I've got a new intro song. Here's what I want to do. Can you help me?" He's going to help me work on the Stars of Tomorrow. So a lot of the actual production that you see, more and more stuff is kind of coming from Terrence Ward. And I know that he has even more skills. We've even talked about doing documentaries and stuff. But just like all of us,
he's an asset to and it goes back
other
to
obligations
what we said
too.
earlier.
So it's not 24/7 working on wrestling. So if it was, man, we would be doing some dangerous stuff, brother.
Terrence is a perfect example of what we talked about earlier. Terrence would have never wanted to be a wrestler, but he got doing this announcing thing. And then you do this, there's always a place for somebody like that. takes his opportunity. Let me ask you one last question.
Mhm.
I know you got some people at your house. Maybe we can show one of them right before we get ready to leave here. But who else? Now you got Gangrel coming in. I hear all good things about Gangrel. The funny thing is, and he doesn't know me, but I used to be friends with his tag team partner when he was under the mask and they worked in Japan. So I was friends with his partner, but never talked to him. And he is one of those guys that everybody has something good to say about him, especially when he comes to a show like he's coming to and being around a lot of young talent. He runs his own school, so he could give a lot of pointers. Who else? I mean, you picked Gangrel out, and I know it's because of the Halloween and all that. I understand that. But who else is that in the back of your mind going, man, this star, this guy from back then, or I know I can write a story for this guy. Give me a couple of those guys that you really want to get a hold of and use either again or use that you've never used.
Orange Cassidy.
Oh, all right. Okay.
In communication with him, I feel like that he thinks we need a bigger venue when, I've got access to many venues. So that's
right.
It's just kind of nailing down a date and stuff. I'd love to do some fun stuff with Orange Cassidy. Danhausen is somebody that I never really understood until now. I'm seeing
I still don't understand. I don't get it. Here's what I like about him is that he's hustled, Dustin. He's a hustler. He got all of those followers everywhere.
He's a T-shirt salesman, brother.
He is a T-shirt salesman. That's all he is. But I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. I always followed him because I love anybody that gets themselves over with just working hard. And that's all he did. And he got a contract with AEW, and I still don't get it. So I'll still say that about Danhausen. I personally don't. I'm not a fan of Danhausen's, but man, I see the reaction he get. Orange Cassidy's one of those guys that's kind of grown on me. I was not a fan of his when he first started out, but man, the crowd just gets into him.
These are guys that I think the people would go absolutely nuts for. I think Scott Steiner would be great at the Wrestle Center.
Scott sold some tickets here last time he was here. He did very well.
He is a loose cannon. He's so nuts that he would just be perfect there. Actually, the Universal Heartthrob Austin Idol, I would love to.
Oh, wow. That would be hilarious. I would
love to bring Austin Idol in just for the history.
He does manage it now. He'll manage somebody for you.
And he also, you notice most of the guys that I'm talking about, the Gangrels, and of course Austin Idol too, that have wrestling schools, so they can easily tie into the seminar or to teach something new to the students. But that's a couple that I've been thinking about. I can throw a couple more at you, but
come on,
a couple more.
Who else you want to book?
Let's see, Billy Gunn. I would love to have Billy Gunn. Scissor me, daddy ass. I gotta bring.
You're talking about a big guy. Have you ever worked Billy? Have you worked him?
I have. Trust me. If you don't want him to do something, he's not letting you. He's so big.
Huge. He is he will surprise you. I mean, I felt like I went to All Out and walked into the bathroom, and Billy Gunn's standing there at the stall, and I just turned around and left. I was scared. That was a big ass man right there. I said,
I would also like to book Miro. He lives in Nashville. He lives in Nashville, can't be that far. And then also, just to round out the list, of course, we're going to have Chavo Guerrero and Pepe. Viva la Raza. He's got to be there, right? He's already in town.
Yeah.
Actually, he might be there Sunday.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, we're going to wrap it up. A little short version. We almost got an hour out of you. You got a guest there at your house tonight. Do you want to bring him on?
Do we have a guest
here? You think he'll be on camera tonight?
Do we have a guest here? Is he still here? Oh, boy, yeah.
Did he leave?
No, he's here. I knew it smelled something.
Oh, there he is. Wrestler of the Year.
Yerky.
WrestleRideOnline.com.
I made that little online thing famous.
Yeah, what I want to know, Mr. King, how does it feel with using the moniker now, the King of Memphis wrestling. How's it feel? We're shooting. How's it feel? Come on, tell me.
Let's not even get into that. That's a long story.
What's the feedback I give you on the thing?
You're the king.
No, listen, like this is serious. Like in the grand scheme of what we're doing, this world that we have that's Memphis wrestling, there's one king of Memphis wrestling, and it's him. And I tell him all the time, carry the crown. Don't give me the crown. Take the crown to the ring. Show the people. Who was walking in the Memphis Heritage Classic last week?
You got any heat from that, Derek? I'm gonna ask you for real.
No, there is no heat. The other guy already knows that I do that anyway.
What's he gonna do about it?
He has no problem with it also.
Well, good. I'm glad. There's nothing he can do about it. But yeah, you're right. I love
you know
what y'all
what?
been
If
doing.
he wants to do something about it, he can go face Derek King one-on-one.
Are we making challenges right now?
No.
Are we making challenges right now?
Sounds like we're working. We're working this whole thing out. Derek, you know I've told you this many times, but you're my favorite. Oh, forget it. I can't say that.
Yeah. Don't get canceled, buddy. Don't get canceled.
I love you guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Dustin. The Shooting Star episode 7. Thanks for just doing a cameo. Now, see, Derek could go in as the cameo like King Cobra. Do you know that was kind of...
Well, now there's a big difference in Derek.
I know, but I'm going to tell you what. It's kind of famous because King Cobra says, "Do you tell him the whole story?" And everybody laughs at that, talking about Scotty Too Hotty. He goes, "Did you tell him the whole story?" Yeah. And they came back to me saying, "What's he talking about?" I said, "I don't know. We'll talk about it next time." But it was really funny. Cobra was trying to kayfabe everybody, but all right, man, we're getting out of here. Thanks for people that were watching it live. We do appreciate it. Thanks to all Patreon. This is on the Patreon feed, the video, the whole video. I like watching the video. If not, it will go before midnight on the audio, so you can listen to the audio. But if you got the app,
look at that.
If you got the app, you can watch it right inside the app. So do that. And he's not telling the truth about that. Maria hit him. Maria hit him really.
Because you didn't take the trash out.
Because I didn't take it. You hear all the noise in the background. That's her taking the trash out while I'm doing a podcast. I'm showing off my hand.
There you go. Yeah, you can't let that happen, man. All right, thanks a lot. Love you guys.
Thanks,
Later.
brother. Oh, yeah.